My next point, ladies and gentlemen, relates to healing and peaceful coexistence at grassroots level. Kenyans have in recent days become more conscious of hurtful tribal bigotry, particularly in public places, than they were 3 years ago. At this juncture, I must commend the good work being done by the Mzalendo Kibuja-led National Cohesion and Integration Commission. While perimeters of what hate speech constitutes are now clear, I must admit that there's a long road ahead of us that we must travel with greater passion for peace and for more compassion for each other, irrespective of which community we hail from. For this to happen, as Kenyans, we must choose to dwell on things that bring us together, not those that set us apart. The greatest enemy to this desired order, however, is our average politician whose fear, real or indeed imagined, leads him or her to throw soil at other communities or take cover among one's own in times of turmoil. May I, without equivocation whatsoever, challenge my fellow politicians to join me in crusading for a new order guided by standards that affirm humanness and steer clear of primitive obsession based on tribe and one's tribal origin. Ladies and gentlemen, the next point is that perhaps the most potent challenge we must address beyond what you've already done is the issue of youth unemployment. Over the last 2 years, the Kazi kwa Vijana program has absorbed thousands of youth, mainly in many jobs that have kept them occupied. Although as you travel across many parts of the country, you hear the saying, this thing called the Kazi kwa Vijana is a mirage. We haven't seen any aspect of it. But this, I think, was a very useful beginning by the Grand Coalition government. Economic stimulus programs have also been instrumental in creating employment for the youth over the same period. Besides, the return of the youth polytechnics in recent years has held the promise for the equipping of our youth with relevant vocational skills that will no doubt help them in employing their skills in their own enterprises. Meanwhile, the Youth Fund continues to lift youth from unemployment in their thousands, but I think the issue here is that of accessibility, because a lot of others, still, you hear young people, and I can also say the same about Women Development Fund, the issue getting access to them, because government decided to channel this through some of the banking institutions, and then the usual conditionalities that come with banking. I think we need to be able to focus a little harder on how best we can actually ensure the majority of our women who deserve these banking facilities, the majority of our youth actually get assisted. And looking at the fact that 65% of the total Kenyan population today are young men and women aged below 35 years, you no doubt agree with me that this challenge becomes absolutely urgent. Creative initiatives that can further spur employment for our youth, self and otherwise, must be established urgently. And to this end, going forward, I propose such radical measures as the establishment of a Youth Employment Commission under the Ministry of Youth and Sports that will primarily be charged with generating careers for our youth by way of building their talents alongside developing vocational and entrepreneurial skills among Kenyan youth from every corner of this great nation. Ladies and gentlemen, my next concern, in fact the fourth concern, has to do with addressing regional imbalances and inequity. Fortunately, our new constitution is very clear on the devolvement of resources and establishment of regional governments, all aimed at addressing existing regional inequalities. In fact, this, in my view, the very fact of devolution is one of the greatest achievements under the new constitution. In our new governance structures, every region or county, if you like, will have to do its own thing and make sure that they address the needs and aspirations of their people. Every county will have the responsibility of exploiting their resources the best way possible and deploying the process thereof in the most desirable manner and for the benefit of their people. Subject, of course, only to what is contained, I think, in the 5th schedule, because there are those obligations that go to the county governments, and there are others that are within the realm of the national government. We do not expect that county governments will have ministries of foreign affairs, for instance, or indeed be able to address issues dealing with national security. My only question is that we help people at the grassroots level to appreciate the fact that only competent leaders at the county level can change their destiny. I had a colleague recently say that we must be careful not to transport what is clearly evident as corruption at the government, at the national level of the country, to the grassroots. It's very possible, actually quite easy, to just transport some of these challenges to the county level. And then that complicates the whole business about governance. And finally, at number 5, ladies and gentlemen, is the important matter of civic education. You will bear me witness that Kenyans are who they are, that they were not 2 years ago, courtesy of massive education through various channels and, of course, the media. The last referendum campaigns are case in point. We didn't actually have enough time to carry out adequate civic education. And I think this matter of civic education is a very important aspect into the future as we deal with the all-important matter of expeditious implementation of the new constitution. Away from political education, Kenyans now deserve proper and in-depth orientation in civic education of the kind that will promote good neighborliness, courtesy, respect for the rule of law, and respect for public resources. Kenyans not only need to internalize the spirit, the letter and the spirit of our new constitution, but also move on to adopt new attitudes that will entrench the new order and give it primacy in their destiny that is about to unfold. To this end, I want to urge the media, because they're important, absolutely important stakeholders